So no matter how many lights I have on here in the garage or wherever else I have this small N-scale layout, I never have quite enough lighting on it. And so I added some LED lights to the inside of the lid, so I have a lot more lighting. Let's take a look. So what I did was I used one of these rolls of stick-on LED lights. These I picked up off Amazon. They were like $40 for a 16-foot roll. And so that allowed me to do 3 rows of LED lighting on this layout. Now these have plugs on both sides, so you can daisy chain them together, plug in a 12-volt power supply, and everything works really well in that regard. But I didn't use these plugs. I just cut them off and attached wires to the LED strips directly that then go to the 12-volt power supply that is used to power the DC controller, since I already had that in there. I didn't want to have to use an extra power supply for the LED lights. So overall, I think it works really well, and let's take a look at how I got these installed. Okay, so these are the LED lights that I plan to use, and we'll look at these in a second. Incidentally, the last structure on the layout is going to be a combination of these 2 concrete warehouse kits from Late Night Hobbies. So I'm going to basically combine these into one larger structure, so this should work out pretty well, I think. But anyway, you'll see this in the next video in the series. Let's get these lights opened up. So this is what you get with these. These do take a 12-volt power supply. So I'll just plug that in here. And so you can daisy chain these together, which is nice. If you get more than one, you can just connect them. So very bright, and this should work out really well. Okay, so I have my multimeter, and this is a 12-volt power supply coming in, and it says, unplug this. It does say 12 volts here, but I just want to make sure that I can actually supply 12 volts directly here without any issues. So just volts directly to any of these terminals. The way this tape stuff works is that you can cut this at any of these joints right here, and then you could have parallel lines and just do some jumper wires and stuff like that. But you can cut this pretty much to any length that you need, stick it in place, and it'll work out for you. So now that we know it is in fact 12 volts going to, through this actual cable, you're not supplying 12 volts to each LED. They basically have these wired in series, so that's splitting up the voltage that way. I plan to wire this directly to the DC power supply coming in for the DC controller. So I'm not going to actually use these plugs, but these plugs will come in handy for something else. But then I can just run wires from these terminals down to the DC power supply. So now what I'll just be doing is sticking on the LED light strips to the bottom of this area right here. This way it'll shine the light down on the layout. I cut off one of the cables on the end here, and then I'll just work on peeling and sticking this. Okay, so now I gotta wire things up, and so I've got a collection of little wires here. I have 2 short wires, and then 1 long black wire, and then 2 short red wires, and another long black wire. And I could have used a long red wire, but I wanted both of the wires coming from the LEDs to be black, just so they'd be less noticeable. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and tin all these wires, basically just add some solder to all of these wires, which will make it a lot easier to then attach them to the LED strips. All right, so all these wire connections have some solder on them. And so there's 3 strips of LEDs. So basically what I'm going to do is connect all the positive terminals of 3 together like this, and all the negative terminals, and try it out. Okay, I have those wires installed. So now I'm just going to take my AC adapter and just touch the wires here to make sure everything works. And it does. we have light. Now I'll just get a small hole drilled through the corner of the base. Okay, so I have the two wires from the LED lights coming through this hole back here, and then this is the power line coming from the 12-volt adapter that goes to the DC controller. And so I stripped each of those wires. One of the wires going from the LED is connected directly to it, and the other wire is connected to the single pole, single throw switch. It's just an on-off switch. And then the other wire from the on-off switch will then go to the other power wire here. So basically, if I have the switch on, the power goes all the way through to the LEDs, and if it's off, it doesn't. So I'll go ahead and get all this soldered up, and then we'll try it out. Now, the only issue here is I don't know which one is positive and which one is negative with these wires. So the lights did not go on in that configuration, so we'll swap them. And the lights turned on, so I can solder these wires as they are. I'll use a little bit of liquid electrical tape on here, insulate those joints. I'll probably come back and maybe wrap them in electrical tape as well. And now through the shabby hole, I'll get the toggle switch pushed through. So that'll turn the lights on and off. Get all this vacuumed up. Anyway, now you can see what a difference these LED lights make once I turn them on. This lid isn't all the way open because this HO layout above it here is in the way, so I can't fully extend it. And so it's kind of shining the light backwards a little bit. But nonetheless, you can see that it does make a big difference. Let me go ahead and turn all the lights off here in the garage. So even with all the lights off in the garage, it does still light up the layout pretty nicely. So anyway, I'm really happy with these LED lights. Everything is lit up really well now, and it's a lot easier to see everything. It's going to look a lot better for doing videos and everything as well, since everything will be very evenly and nicely lit. So really happy that I decided to add those lights. And it just happened that the lid has this lip here that I can put all the LEDs on, so you can't really see them when the lid is open. Now, I do just have these wires staple gunned to the side here, so that's not going to be the way they are permanently. I am going to get some type of little channel and put them inside of that to keep them safe and secure. If I had done this from the get-go, I would have tried to put a channel, or basically drilled a hole all the way through the lid and the base, so I could have run the wires that way and had them hidden. But that was just going to be too hard to do at this point. I didn't want to take everything apart to do that. So I'll just get some channel and put it in there. I am going to end up painting all this anyway, so it's more of like a sky background on the inside over here. So it'll kind of get covered up with all that anyway. But yeah, really, really nice. Really like the LED lighting. It makes a big difference. Again, it's really easy to install these. I cut these into 3 strips and soldered wires to each of the 3 strips. But you don't have to do that. You can actually kind of just use the one strip and kind of just bend it like that, around and go back and forth and use the included plug and power things that way. And that would work fine. It is possible for this adhesive to eventually let go. So, in the hot garage here, they may eventually start unpeeling or whatever. I may go ahead and add a little bit of extra glue, either some type of epoxy or super glue or something like that here and there, just to make sure they don't come off, mainly on the ends, because that's where it's most likely to start peeling. But, it's not really a big deal. If they start coming off a little bit, I'll just, put a little dab of super glue on there and stick them back in place, and it's not really a big deal. But overall, a pretty easy way to add really nice lighting to your layout. So, again, $40 for a roll of 16 feet of LED lights, pretty easy to do. Now, again, I did buy LED lights that were designed to be powered by 12 volts. Now, mainly what they just did here is they added a resistor, but mainly what they did was they added more LED lights in series. to help break up the voltage, it looks like. So you can get these in different voltages. So if you have like a 3-volt power supply or whatever, you can get something to match your power supply if you want to do that, or you're going to have to add some resistors to your power supply to knock it down to whatever voltage you need for these. But by getting LEDs that were designed to be powered by 12 volts, it made it really easy since I have a 12-volt power supply DC already coming in for the DC throttle here. So, you know, really easy to just kind of tap off that and use it. Not really concerned about drawing too much power because I don't draw that much power anyway. And I'm never really running more than one locomotive, maybe at most 2 on here. And I have a couple amps coming in here. So it's not really a concern at all in terms of too much power draw. But anyway, good lighting does make a big difference for your trains in terms of how they look, especially on video. And getting some of these stick-on LED lights can be a nice, easy way to add lighting to really any size layout, be it a small one or a big permanent one or whatever you have. Obviously, if you do have a permanent layout, there's a lot more options you have available. But if you do have some recessed areas you can't get good lighting into very easily, these stick-on lights can be a great way to get lighting in a lot of those areas. But anyway, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.